All right, perfect problem 3 solutions. We're asked to sketch a graph that satisfies all these criteria. However, there are lots of different graphs that satisfy these criteria, so your answers may vary. But they should all include some certain things. So I'll try to illustrate those points that all graphs should include. I think it's easier if you don't go in order. I think it's easier if you start with like C and D. What C is saying is f of negative 4 equals 2. When my x value is negative 4, my y value has to be 2. When my x value is negative 4 right here, my y value has to be 2. This point right here has got to be on my graph. That's because of C up here. Similarly, when x is 3, my y value has to be 1. So 1, 2, 3. My graph must go through this point right here. So no matter how you draw your graph, no matter what your answer it is, it has to go through those 2 points, as C and D say. I would hold off on A, B, E, and F, and now tackle G. G says f of x equals 0. In other words, the height is 0 when my x is negative 1, 2, or 4. Negative 1, 2, or 4. What it's saying is that my graph should go through all these, what are these, 5 points? My graph has to it has to go through all those 5 points just based on C, D, and G. I still have to make sure I hit the rest of this stuff, but I think C, D, and G are easiest because we can actually put those directly onto the graph. So the next thing, the domain goes from negative 4 to positive 5. So what that's saying is this point right here, switch colors because this is not actually part of my graph, it's just meant to illustrate, to sort of this point right here are kind of the edges of my graph. Right, I have to stay within those 2 dotted lines. And I want to include negative 4. I don't want to include positive 5. So I want an open circle here, a closed circle here. Oh, good, I have a closed circle already. As far as range, it goes from negative 3 to 6. So let's see, negative 1, 2, 3. I want to go from there all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I kind of want to stay within this red outline box. And I also want to make sure that I hit the left side of the box and the top of the box, but that I have an open circle at the bottom of the box and the right side of the box. Guess that's enough on domain and range. And I think to do any more, I'm going to have to start drawing. E says f is decreasing from an x-coordinate of negative 3 to 0. So let's see, my x-coordinate is negative 3 right here. I want to be decreasing from here to here. This is not part of the graph. This is just me trying to show my work. And then I want to be decreasing again from 3 to 5. So what I'm saying is there's 3, 4, 5. So when my graph gets on those 2 green intervals, it better be going down. That doesn't look so bad over here, right? It kind of looks like we have a top point here and it can start going down. So that'll work out fine. Over here is a little bit different though. It doesn't start going down until negative 3. You might have thought to make it go straight down here. You can't because it's supposed to be increasing over here, or at least not decreasing. So it's going to have to, maybe one way to do it would be get it to go up and then down and then up and then down, something like that. The last thing I want to account for is that f of x is less than 0. In other words, I'm below the x-axis from negative 1 to 2 and 4 to 5. So what I'm saying is from here to here, I got to be below the x-axis, and then from here to here, I have to be below the x-axis. You might have already been able to see that that's going to happen, but in case you weren't, now you know. Okay, so if you remember on our domain, I did not want to include 5, and I did not want to include negative 3. So it would make a lot of sense to put an open circle right here and sort of connect these dots like that. I am decreasing on the interval that I'm supposed to be decreasing on. I am less than 0 where I'm supposed to be less than 0. And what I now have is something that will have the proper domain and the proper range. Okay, and I am increasing from here all the way over to here. How far down should my graph go? Well, it really doesn't matter as long as it doesn't go below this point. Because remember, our range should only go as low as -3 and not include -3. So this has to come down and continue down over here until we get to our y-axis. But we don't want it so far down that it messes up our range. So one way you could do it is by kind of curving this guy down here and turning this around, sure, right there, wherever you want. Actually, that doesn't look quite right because it shouldn't turn around until this axis. So the height is not that specific, but I want to make sure that it's going down until I get to that axis. Really going up if you read it from left to right. Okay, and then finally, I'm decreasing from here to here. So I'm coming down this way, which means it goes up and then down. How far up should it go? Well, my range has to get all the way up here to, what's that, 6? So since the only place I can go up is right here at the start, what I have to do is go up pretty steep, hit this point and turn around. Now I have to decrease until I get down to here. This is very hard to draw on a computer screen. And then meet back up in there. It's not bad for as poorly as I normally draw. So you don't need these green intervals here or the red box around the outside, but it makes it easier to check that you did everything right. That it was decreasing from here to here, good. Decreasing from here to here, good. That the domain goes from here to here, and the range goes from here to here, and it goes through all the little blue dots. I think I got everything that I needed. So we'll call that good. Call that the answer, and that's the end of this video.